Hello everyone, welcome to another tutorial. Today I'll be working on big stylized shield for American game. Let's begin. Let's start. We are doing our base textures in Substance Painter, and people asked me about material we use here, but it's still in process because it's very rough variant and we need some time to make it better. So I will share with you just the base textures. So in the first step we are working on, when you work on the textures, usually I start with a question how I should start painting it. So I walked around the textures, and my process took too much time because I didn't have any structures in my head about the process. Right now I have some structures and my pipeline, and in the first step I'm working on enhancing the shape by doing three things. First is painting edges. The second it's enhance the shape of the elements. It's like painting the gradients. It's painting shadows and lighting. So I'll look at the shape of this element and paint the shadow. Also I paint contact shadows when two elements they position next to each other. So I'm painting some contact shadows. It's three things you can do every time, and it will be a very powerful way to start the textures. Why I'm doing these tutorials? If you are going to make some stylized textures, you will one of the step to make these stylized textures is to painting something by hands. So you can finish the stylized textures by using just generators or some painters. So I want to show people how to paint PBR or hand-painted textures by hands, and then you can use these techniques to paint your textures. It doesn't matter it's PBR or hand-painted. I just want to explain how I paint my edges, how to make them more interesting, and so on. So if you want to create any textures, you better to study how to paint it by hands. I mean stylized or semi-stylized PBR texture. Better to you have to study how to paint hands. This shield, it was a very hard object, and I made the textures like 2 or 3 days with some rest time. It took for me a lot, so to keep the video inside some nice time range, we speed up it a lot, so it's very fast speed. Yes, I use some very cool references from another people. Is a shield made by another studio who worked on Ruined King game too. Also, I didn't paint it rear side of the shield because the front side took too much time and I was exhausted. So how to paint the right now I'm painting the wood textures, and how I paint it first. You have to think about the material. So the wood, it's like some curved, it has some curved structure, and I painted some curved textures first, and second you have to think about the contrast, about some artistic techniques. And one of the artistic thing is to make a contrast, make an accent. And when you paint some curve element more bigger and another more like smaller, you make an accent. So when you have some element more bigger, much bigger, 3 times bigger than another, you show to the watcher, to the people who look at your textures, you show the accent. It's a very powerful way. Try to paint, when you paint the wood, try to make some details much bigger and another more like thinner. And right now we started this second step. When I play with lighting, it's like I start with overlay and the same. I enhance my shapes, but right now I paint not in normal layer but with an overlay, and I enhance my edges, I enhance my shapes like shadows, lighting, local shading, shadow lighting. What means local? When you have on your shield, when you have like 10 elements, 10 curved metal wood elements, you enhance, you work on every separated element, and on the shadow and lighting on every separate lighting. And in the third step, you try to make your shield beautiful in general, and you just like fade some like shadows. You just make some places not so bright, and another you work on the focus. Also, when you paint your edges, when you paint your shadows, lighting, also sure you can paint some details. We work on texture material. So if it's metal, I try to paint textures of this metal. I really like the domestic kind of metal textures, and because it has very nice details, visible details. So please check the domestic metal style. second step is painting the lighting, enhancing lighting, fades the lighting, and so play with shadow and lighting. It's very cool way. And also I play with saturation level and extra colors. So when you paint the gold material, for example, you don't have to think just to change the color. So if you have like yellow color, you have to add like reddish shadows. Think about also about saturation level. So if you have a yellow color of your gold and it's very saturated, try to add some gray shade to your textures. Try to add some gray shade to the shadows, and in general I like to use this technique. Is like you paint the gold material and then you are doing it in Photoshop in general more saturated, so your textures become more saturated overall. And then I create overlay layer, extra layer, and paint saturated highlights. So you have in general not saturated textures, like gray textures, and you paint like saturated highlights. This way you have two kind of contrast: brightness level and saturation. And if you have your gold, your textures like yellow, and you paint bluish highlights, you change your contrast by 3 levels. Like you change the color, you change the saturation, you change the brightness, and it's very powerful way to show the accent. Another way to show the contrast is not making something more brighter or more saturated. You can just make some elements more flatter. So you don't change anything, but you change some elements on the not in the focus areas, more flatter, and you reduce your like highlights, not accent places. So you can enhance something and you can fade something. So you can play in 2 directions. You can not just enhance, but you can just play with fading something. One rule of myself. First, I have I have the rule to make my shield perfect, not accurate, but perfect, as like I have to create some wow effect, not careful wow effect. So I don't polish, I don't think about the careful painting something in the first like step, and I'm thinking about polishing the textures in the last steps, because if you paint your very cool nice element of the shield very carefully and then you get a feedback, just it's not beautiful, but it's careful but not beautiful, you just spend your time on polishing it, it just like lose this time. So first I just want to improve the textures without super polishing and then finish it. But it's a way for the people probably who already just know how to paint very well. It's fine if you try to make everything like clean from the beginning. Yeah, I'm doing this, specifically this element, I'm doing it more flatter. I just remove some highlights and added some gray shade to it. When I fade my textures along the edges, at the same time it become more brighter in the center. And one interesting technique is to keep your accents very like pointed, like spots, some spots like you have not very like white edge bright, but keep it very thin and it become more thinner in some place and it become brighter in very specific places. And you can make some like spots very bright and it will be very nice accent.